Good evening, and welcome to your brand new adventure. My name is Jack, aka Count Von Count, and I will be your narrator, your storyteller, and your guide as we dive headfirst into my very own Dungeons & Dragons campaign set in the land of Kjlovania. Sit down, sit back, and relax as I tell you the tale of the Seven Masks of Malice.
The land of Kjlovania is dying. Once there was balance, an uneasy peace between the living and the creatures that stalk the dark. Men prayed to their gods, and the night kept its distance. But then came Bishop Glavius, the self-anointed saint, and his crusade burned that balance to ash. Now, the dead rise from forgotten graves, their bones pulled by the will of something ancient. The lichens hunt across the frost wastes of Brecca, and beneath it all, something older moves unseen. The cities cling to the coast like barnacles to a corpse. New Tristan, Boxborough, Valoran. Their walls keep nothing out. Fear seeps through the mortar. The church brands its enemies heretics and hangs them from its gates. Nobles sell their souls to shadows for a taste of safety. Even the sea itself smells of rot. Yet still, whispers persist. Men in crimson robes march beneath a forgotten sigil, people disappearing into the night, others slowly going mad, muttering a name that should have stayed buried. Xavier. Some call it a story to frighten children. But shadows do not vanish. They wait for the right light to stretch them long again. And so, the wind carries us to Withermarsh, a place where the world itself has grown tired. The air here tastes of mud and memory. The mist clings like guilt. Every plank creaks beneath the weight of something unseen. The bog weeps for what it has swallowed. A town filled with mercenaries, farmers, and traders, Withermarsh hangs to life by a thread, with the slow decay of the land creeping in from the surrounding wetlands. Yet in the heart of that decay stands a tavern, the Hollow Hearth, its walls sagging, its fire barely alive, but warmth, however faint, draws the desperate. And tonight, it draws the ones who will decide Kjlovania's fate. They arrive separately, as fate often prefers. Wanderers, killers, zealots, and outcasts, all summoned by a question, each seeking something they cannot explain. As the door of the tavern creaks open, a group of 7 is met by a hearty voice that booms across the wooden bar top. A large man in his 60s, bald-headed and bearded, with a towel thrown over his shoulder, looks to the door. "Welcome to the Hollow Earth," he says. "If you're looking for warmth, we've a fire that ain't quite dead yet. If you're looking for drink, it's piss weak, but better than the water. Have a seat, I'll be over shortly." Around the tavern, the murmurs fade. The fire pops. Eyes turn to the newcomers. In the tavern's low light, its hearth sighs beneath the weight of damp timber. Rain presses at the shutters. The marsh hisses back in reply. Under the eyes of the tavern, 7 strangers take their seats, without speaking, looking warily at each other. The first carried the poise of a noble and the sorrow of a mourner. His name, softly spoken, was Gabriel. Dark hair framed a face carved with impossible symmetry. Every gesture deliberate, as if grief itself demanded grace. The air seemed to bend around him, sweet, with the scent of wilted flowers and rain on a cold stone. Beside him sat Dorian, a half-elf wrapped in the quiet hum of invention. His armor glowed faintly where blue runes traced across the metal, light pulsing like a slow heartbeat. A mechanical arm of etched steel replaced his own, its motions precise and restrained, and upon his shoulder perched a small owl, wrought of brass and glass, turning its head with a whisper of gears. Jackson, the tiefling bard, leaned against his chair with an elegance meant to be noticed. 2 crimson horns curved back from his smooth brow. His eyes gleamed like coins beneath lamplight. His clothes were fine, his posture careless, and across his knee rested a fiddle of dark wood, its golden filigree catching the fire's last breath. Near the far end, Leif Doomstride kept his back to the wall. Half-elven, narrow and restless, he wore the wary posture of one too familiar with exits. His clothes were plain, and his gaze sharper than comfort allowed, darting from face to face as if weighing cost and escape in equal measure. Dion Dreadbell arrived like a festival that had lost its way. He was a mountain of muscle and laughter, bare-chested despite the chill, his beard thick and golden, his hair falling wild about his shoulders. An accordion hung across his back, absurd and splendid, as though the man himself could not decide between battle and song. Then came Sir Siberic Wraithbone, a knight whose armor had forgotten its shine. The silver had dimmed with years of use, the edges dulled, the surface etched by weather and war. A black grizzled beard framed his scarred face, and his eyes, cold and tired, measured the room without judgment. His sword and shield bore no emblem, only the memory of one scraped away. Last entered Cassian, a tall, pale figure whose presence drew the warmth from the fire. His dark hair hung loose around a face too composed to be calm. A long black leather cloak fell to his boots, and his eyes, midnight and unblinking, searched the room not for comfort, but for meaning. The 7 shared no words, only the uneasy recognition that in a place like Withermarsh, coincidence was a dangerous luxury. Outside, the wind clawed at the shutters, and inside, the fire shuddered and leaned low, as if to listen. The tavern murmured with whispers and snickers. The rain outside fell harder now, drumming against the warped roof like the beat of some distant march. Then, amid the clatter of tankards and the shuffle of boots, a figure pulled himself from the edge of the hearth's light. Captain Elias Vane. His face was cut from stone and weather, his beard streaked with iron gray. The firelight drew across the scars that mapped his jaw and cheek, pale against tanned skin. His eyes, hard, discerning, but not unkind, moved over the room with a soldier's practiced caution. When they found their mark, they lingered. He wore a coat of worn leather, it seemed stitched with the quiet authority of a man who once commanded armies, but no longer cared for banners. Beneath it, the glint of armor showed through, dulled, scarred, and clean. The sigil of the Withermarsh Guard, half hidden by time, clung faintly to his pauldron. A heavy cloak hung from his shoulders, weighted with rain, and at his back rested a sword too large for ceremony, the kind meant for ending things. When he stepped forward, the noise in the room seemed to draw inward. Even the fire lowered its breath. He moved like a man who knew his place in the world and had carved it there himself. He stopped before the table where the 7 strangers sat. His voice, when it came, was low, not loud, but deep enough to quiet the air around it. "So," he said, eyes steady, "you received my letter."
And that wraps up episode 1 of the 7 Masks of Malice. I hope you enjoyed the journey as we introduced some of our characters and dove headfirst into the land of Kjlovania, and I hope you're excited for what's to come. Stay tuned.